Today I want to give my thoughts on Animal Farm after listening to a few different points of view on it. I have never read Animal Farm, but I can understand where most of the complaints on Angel Studios' version of Animal Farm are coming from. Added on to this, I've decided to ask my mom about her thoughts on the movie, since she has read Animal Farm, and she is one of the millions of children traumatized by it. My school didn't make me read Animal Farm, Lord of the Flies, or anything like that. It did require me to read The Scarlet Abyss, though, and even though it probably wasn't as traumatizing as the other books, I still believe it shouldn't have been read to children. Also, as another note, this is the first time I'm talking about a film on this channel. I want to ask you to subscribe, but I can't really ask anyone to do that because you won't find many other videos about films on this channel. I want to make more commentary on film, though, because I've paid attention to the politics that go on in the industry and why some films rise while others fail. Just one last thing, this is also the first time I'm trying to add my voice to a video, which is why I sound a bit angry, but I don't know why I sound like that. I haven't had much practice in this area yet, but I hope you still enjoy the video. Now, back to the video. First, I'm surprised that this is coming from Angel Studios. Angel has been a role model to me for when I want to run a studio if I ever get a hold of one. I've loved Angel Studios for the Christian content that has detailed and work put into it. I've seen parts of the Wingfeather saga, but I never got to finish it, and this is one of the many works I enjoy from them. Despite this, I've noticed in the past that Angel might not have perfected a formula yet for making a great film. They have their heart in the right place, but their craft of filmmaking isn't perfect and seems to be either hit or miss in theaters. Now on to the controversy with Animal Farm, beginning with Andy Serkis' direction and decisions on it. He is someone who I don't know much about. Out of all honesty, I don't know much about actors in Hollywood and who's who. I hope that most of this movie was decided by Andy Serkis and not Angel Studios, because this doesn't look like a good mark on Angel. First, the number one problem that everyone is pointing out with this film is how it is directed at children. Not even just families, it seems to be just for children alone. I believe this is because of their first presentation of the film with a dance party and all the marks of a film only made for children. Now, what I find interesting about this is that Angel Studios didn't have to make the movie a washed-down version of the book to make sure kids don't have a single inch of fear. I also noticed that the movie has almost a lack of a style. It tried to look painted, but something about it just looks like they washed it down just as much as the story with a regular 3D budget look. The character models look like the bare basics with nothing really making them memorable or stand out. Plus, I have no idea what is going on with saturation. When I looked at the slaughterhouse truck, I thought that it was a logo for a company working on the film. They chose the flattest and brightest yellow that I thought it was put on top of the film as some sort of graphic. I only realized that it wasn't part of the advertising when the characters made a joke about it. Now, the most important thing is this. If Angel Studios wanted to make a family remake of Animal Farm, they didn't have to dump a gallon of bleach on it and then saturate the screen with a rainbow. From what I've heard of the book, they could have kept parts of the book while also keeping the fear factor. I've seen from one review of the trailer that they removed the dogs who acted as guards for the pigs. Apparently, they were one of the scariest things about the book, but they were nowhere in sight in the trailer. I believe this movie's trailer could have made a better hit with audiences if they went for a plot similar to Puss in Boots' The Last Wish, where the plot is dark, but it is kept to a level where fear is still there and you're not showing anything inappropriate to kids. This is why Puss in Boots' The Last Wish was so loved, because it was made for families, not just kids. I believe this new Animal Farm movie could have kept some of those fear factors while keeping it away from traumatizing. It still would be a watered-down version, but it would have been more true to what the original stood for, in my opinion. It would still have a dark and deep plot with fear and loss, but without the lawsuits from parents. Remember that I've never read Animal Farm nor watched any of the movies, so I don't have a full idea of what has been lost here in Angel Studios' remake. For all I know, my suggestion to keep the fear but still tone it down might sound crazy when paired with the context of the book. People have mentioned that Animal Farm shouldn't be a kids' movie at all, and this makes sense because I would guess that George Orwell wrote his book for adults, not kids. At the same time, I can see why Angel Studios wanted to fund this movie. Angel Studios is very much against anything socialist or communist, and they want to give kids a resource to learn from. This movie, though, is not the way to do that, as it doesn't seem to enforce the seriousness of George Orwell's story. This is why I think that if it has to be a remake for families, that they should have kept the darkness and serious parts while also keeping it just below the line of traumatizing kids. Something that surprises me is the fact that the film displays itself as more against capitalism than communism. I find this surprising, especially since I've always thought Angel Studios supported scenes where socialism and communism are the enemies and capitalism is the better option. I find it very strange that Angel Studios would support a film like this. I might want to watch the film first, though, to figure out if it really does abandon its anti-communist message. I won't just give you my opinion. I've also asked my mom about her opinion on Animal Farm and if it should be a kids' movie. She actually read the book as a child, and she is certified to have been traumatized by it. She believes Animal Farm shouldn't have been adapted to a children's movie, and that it has watered down the message to be just about greed alone. She added on that George Orwell would be appalled. She's waiting for the remake of this movie that turns it into a horror film. Serkis' Animal film doesn't look true to the original, and the movie lacks the themes that made the original stick. I personally believe Angel Studios could save the film if they took the book more to heart, but even then, I think the fact that this is a PG movie already pushes it too far for most. What surprised me the most is that they've been working on this film for 15 years apparently. What were they doing with that time? I've always thought many films are failures because they weren't given enough time to write a passable story, but this one seems like this wasn't the case. They even had the whole plot already written for them, they just needed to add a few ideas to it. So did it take them 3 of those years just to think of adding a cyber future atmosphere to the movie? They couldn't have used the 12 other years to craft the style, because, like I mentioned before, it looks half dedicated to looking painterly in between painterly and a 3D basic look. Anyway, these were my thoughts on the new Animal Farm remake. Nothing can be decided yet until there is more information about the details of the movie, but it isn't looking good.